Welcome everyone to this webinar of Office 365 Development Overview. This webinar is hosted as part of CSAP Corner Toronto chapter event. I am the presenter. My name is Nilesh Shah. I am working as tech lead at RN Design Limited in Vaughan. This is my handler, Twitter, and this is my blog URL nilesh.live if you want to connect to me later. Let me start by thanking you for joining this today's webinar. And in this today's webinar, we are going to walk through Office 365 development options. First of all, let me introduce you to the CSAP Corner Toronto chapter. So, what is a chapter in CSAP Corner is that CSAP Corner community is an online community of IT professionals where the professionals come together and they share the technical knowledge. And a chapter is a local user group which is mostly city wise where the members meet personally sometimes or monthly meetups and they host workshops, webinars, and technical talks. There are 33 chapters worldwide of the CSAP Corner, and there are two chapters in Canada. One is in Regina, and this is the second one in Toronto. I am the chapter lead of the Toronto chapter. So about today's webinar, it is on Office 365 development overview. So the theme is to make developers aware of the different Office 365 development options. So if you are a developer developing on Microsoft platform, then you may or may not be aware of what 365 Office 365 has to offer for a developer. So I want to make developers aware that what are the development options, and if you want to start developing with Office 365, then how you can do it. And set stage for future deep dive sessions. This is a first webinar in the series of the future webinars I plan to give. So in the future, we will cover the deep dive sessions into individual sections. But today I am concentrating on only the overview. Office 365 development overview. This is the agenda of today's webinar. We'll start with the introduction, why, what, and how. So why Office 365 development, what it is, and how you can do the development. There are two main components I want to cover today. Office 365 add-in development, so into which I will also cover something about Office UI Fabric, and Microsoft Graph API development, into which I'll show you the demo of Microsoft Graph Explorer. There is Office 365 developer program. So if you want to kickstart your development, then it is a great option available to you. I will introduce you to that, and how you can register your application to work with Office 365. And along the way, I'll also cover the demo. So let us start with the very first screen of this presentation. Why Office 365 development? So you are a developer working on Microsoft platform, maybe in C#.NET, VB.NET, or another Node or any other platform. Then you will have a question that why should you care about Office 365 developer? If you are not already developing something for Office 365, then why you should worry about it? So this screen is for you to make you aware that what is the reach of Office 365. So there are 1.2 billion plus commercial users of Office 365 worldwide. There are 100 million plus downloads of mobile apps for Office 365, including Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and others. People on a day-to-day basis spend 2 to 3 hours per day for working on Office and working with Office add-ins. There are so many meetings created, there are so many content being created, and there are so many email being sent. So you can think that day in and day out, even if you are IT person or non-IT person, in Office you will be working with Office 365. And hence, if you are a developer, if you are developing something, then you have vast reach. So your user base is very wide. So if you are not already working on Office 365 development, then you should seriously think about that. What are the development choices? So the next question is how you can get started. So Office 365 add-in development is one the development choice. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook are the main Office apps. So there are add-ins which work inside this app. So if you want to start the development, then you can start developing with Office add-ins. And then there is Microsoft Graph API. So there is also another version which is known as the Office 365 APIs. I'll introduce you in the relevant screen, but this is an option to you if you want to fetch or if you want to play with the Office 365 data. Then Microsoft Graph API is a great way to do that. There is also development for SharePoint Online. People do development in Teams, Microsoft Flow, OneNote, AMR, and mostly in each and every product which Microsoft has, which is part of the Office, you can do the development. But in today's session, in today's webinar, we'll concentrate only on the first 2 points, which are the Office 365 add-in development and Microsoft Graph API. How to get started? So these are the development options or development choices. Visual Studio 2015. So if you are working or if you already have installed 2015 Visual Studio, then you can do the development. It was using the previous name, which is Apps for Office. Microsoft has renamed the Apps for Office to Office 365 add-in. Visual Studio 2017. So the project templates are named as Office 365 add-ins. And it is not to be confused with the VSTO add-ins. VSTO is a Visual Studio Tools for Office. So that was the old or earlier version of add-in development model, but now which is a web-based add-in development model, and that is Office 365 add-in. If you don't want to go with the Visual Studio, which is a commercial product of Microsoft, and if you are using and some other products, then you can go with the Office project generator with the Yeoman, which is known as the Office. So Yeoman is a tool which creates the skeletons, the project skeletons. So Yeoman has a version Office, using which you can create the Office add-in skeleton. So all the necessary files for programming an Office add-in will be created by this Yeoman tool, and then you can use your editor of your choice. You can use any editor you like, except Visual Studio or any other of your choice, and you can start developing with Office 365 add-in. So one of the popular tool is Visual Studio Code. So you generate a project with your Yeoman Office project generator, and then you do the coding and Visual Studio Code. So in this demo, I will also show you later on that how you can do that. Let's start with Office 365 add-ins overview. So what is an add-in? I am sure that in your day-to-day life, while working with Excel, PowerPoint, or Word, you may have already used add-in, but you may not be aware that this is an add-in. So add-in is a small program which runs inside Office 365 application and which interacts with the contents of the Office document, and as well as it provides the extra functionality. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, these are the products with rich functionalities. So Microsoft has already loaded these products with so many functionalities. But on top of it, if you want to provide some other some other functionality, then you can do that with the help of add-ins. It's a web app integrated in Office application. So the Office 365 add-in is a web app which is part of your Office application, which uses the rich JavaScript APIs. So to work with Excel, to work with Word and every other, Microsoft has developed its own JavaScript APIs, which you can use, and you can quickly play with the Excel worksheets and Word documents and everything. No separate installation required. You don't need a separate installation for Office 365 add-in. So you don't need to install any exe, or you don't need to install anything. It's just a click installation from the Office store or of any other store, and then you are ready with the add-in. The Office 365 add-in consists of manifest and web app code. So while I show you the demo of this, I will show you how what is the consistency of an Office 365 add-in project, and that is the manifest, which is the metadata and the web app code itself. What Office 365 add-in can do? So add-in can extend the Office functionality. So as I told earlier, that the applications of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. are loaded with the functionalities, but on top of it, if you want some functionality, if you have some idea of better interaction, then you can do that. provide productivity enhancements. So let's say you are or your people in your organization are working with some other tools, or they want to use some maps or charts or interactive visualizations, then they can do with this add-in development. Interact widely with third party functionality. So when you are working in an office, then there are not only Microsoft products you are using. You may be using some other products like ERPs. The famous ones are the Salesforce, the Microsoft Dynamics, or any other accounting tool like QuickBooks. So there is organization data in these ERPs, Salesforce or QuickBooks or something like that, and you want to integrate that data into your Excel, Word, or PowerPoint. So using the add-in model, you can do the development. Excuse me, one minute, please. Okay, so using the Office add-ins, you can integrate the widely used third-party products. You can bring external data into your Office applications. So the example is Microsoft Graph API for connecting the Office 365 data from other applications. Let's say you are working in Excel, you are working in Word, and you want to integrate data from other Office products. Then you can do using the add-ins, or there are so many third-party APIs as well. So you can integrate any API using the Office 365 add-in, and you can sell your add-in on the most widely used platform. So we know that Office 365 products are most widely used Office products. So you can sell your product using the Office store. So in Excel or Word, if you go, then you will find the Office store. So you can create your add-in and you can sell it as a part of the Office store. But there are some validation policies. There are those validation policies needs to be made first. And if you are developing for your organization, then you can host on your own. Let's have a first look at the Office 365 add-ins. So you are aware that what we are talking about here. Let me open Excel. So if you go to Excel, then you will find that in the insert menu, there is store. So this is the Office store we are talking about, which consists of the add-ins. And here, which are these are the different options. This is the store we are right now. We are seeing the Office store, which has all the different Office add-ins and which interact with the CRM, which interact with the analytics, which provide you some type of visualizations, and some for the sales and marketing purpose and everything. There are some of the utilities. So these are the add-ins which are already part of the Office store. So if you are developing an add-in, if you have an idea of interaction, then you can submit your add-in over here. And many are free, many are paid as well. So if your add-in is paid, you can also earn money from that. So let me try showing you an add-in. It's taking some time to load right now. It doesn't take this much long usually. Okay, let's try adding something from whatever is available right now. So this is one of the add-ins, Bubbles, which gives the visual presentation of the data. So let's try adding that. So I'm clicking on the add. I'm sorry, it is taking some time to load right now in the Excel. But let me talk about the types of add-in. Meanwhile, it is being loaded. There are mostly there are two types of add-ins. One is the content add-in and another is the task pane add-in. So content add-in is one which will add some content inside your Office document like Excel, Excel workbook or Word document. And there is a task pane edit which doesn't add any content but which loaded on the side, on the right hand side of the task pane, and then it gives you some extra functionality like it manipulates some data, it does some functionality, it extracts some data. And there are Outlook add-ins. So Outlook add-ins are especially for email. So using the Outlook add-ins, you can do some email operations like organizing the meeting and some particular actions. And there are four type of add-ins which are known as the UI-less add-ins. So these are the command add-ins. So they don't have any UI representation. Those are just the commands. You click on it, or these are uh, automatically execution of some actions. So whenever, let's say, you have some email coming incoming, or you are sending some email out, then what you have to do. So these are the four types of different add-ins available. Currently the add-ins which we are adding is a bubble add-in, which is the content add-in, because it is adding some content inside your Excel application. I'm not sure why this is not loading. Let's continue with the another slide. So you are now aware that by adding, what we mean that it's a small application, small piece of application which runs inside your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, or any other Office application. So by this, I wanted to show you the add-in, but somehow the add-in is not being loaded right now. Let's continue with this presentation and we move to the next slide. In this slide, we'll cover the Office 365 add-in development scenario. So what are the add-in development scenario? There are two distinct differences over here. One is the pre-Office 2013 and another is after Office 2013, including Office 2013, Office 2016, and Office 365 Online, which is the web-based version. So previously, pre-Office 2013, we had these options. The Office add-in development can be done as a part of macro, as part of extending Ribbon. Ribbon is the toolbar which you see on the top in Office applications, and the add-in itself can be based on the COM or VSTO. So the VSTO means Visual Studio Tools for Office. That development was using the C# code or the VBA. So it was a COM-based development. In Office 2013 onwards, we have those development options remain but are not suggested. So if you are starting a new, then in addition to that existing development options, you have here the Office 365 add-in option. You also have the SharePoint add-in option, and you have the development of document templates. So what are document templates? When you want to create a new Office document, then you can load a particular document template, and then according to that template your content will be formatted. So if you want to do the development, then on top of the existing, these are the new three options. Let's see meanwhile the add-in is loaded or not. It's not yet loaded. Office 365 add-in components. So an add-in is consisting of two parts. One is the manifest, which is an XML file, and another is your own web app, which consists of your HTML and related stuff. So what is in a manifest? A manifest defines the metadata about the add-in. So what is a part of the add-in? Who is the publisher? What is the name of the add-in? What does this add-in do? The description about itself, the version, the permissions required, because the add-in is going to work on your Word, Excel, and PowerPoint application. So which type of permission it needs. So these things are defined into the manifest, and as well as the path to the web app, that once you add this add-in, then where is the execution coming from? Where is your web app hosted? So based on that manifest has all the information. And then another part of the add-in is the web app, which is your code itself. That is the actual code. It can be part of HTML, JavaScript, jQuery, CSS, everything. So that is the part of your add-in components. So this is a brief structure of an add-in. So when you are adding some particular add-in, then first of all, which is the app manifest. So if you go to the Office store or SharePoint add-in catalog, so what you see there is a manifest. So based on the app manifest, it shows you the info over there. What is the name, what is the description, everything. And it has the path to the web app. So your web app is hosted somewhere on your web server, maybe on your Azure, maybe on your own server. And from there, the Excel or Word add-in loads the web app and shows the user the interaction. Developer advantage. So this is important for you if you're a developer and if you want to start developing on Office 365 add-in, then what the advantage you have? First of all, it's the unified development. Unified development means that you have to code only once, and the same code will run in Office desktop applications like 2013 and 2016 Office, as well as it will run on the mobile apps. So in your mobile, if you are using Android or any other, then you can go to the Play Store and you can download the Excel, Word, PowerPoint mobile apps. So your same add-in will run on the mobile apps too, or on Office Online. So this is the SaaS version, the Office or 365 Online. So directly from the browser, you can load Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and your add-in will run also in that one. So you are coding only once, and you have three scenarios: desktop, mobile, and web-based. And your add-in is going to run in all these three. You don't have to program separately. You have a choice of platform while doing the add-in development. You can do the development in JavaScript, or you are already a developer of Angular or React or Vue.js, then you don't need to learn any new thing. You can use the templates of Angular, React, or Vue.js, and then you can start the development. Ready building blocks. So most of the code or the framework of creating an add-in is ready when you're using the Visual Studio. So in Visual Studio project template, when you create a new add-in, you will get the ready-made building blocks. When in the demo, I'm going to show you that. Also, there are tools like Yeoman Office Project Generator, which helps you create the necessary files for creating an add-in, and then you have to just concentrate on writing your own code. And Office UI framework. So this is the thing which is covered in the detail in the next slide. So Microsoft has also developed a UI framework. So you don't have to worry about how the UI look and feel is. You just have to use that framework and everything will be similar, or everything will be ready-made. So most of the background or most of the framework is ready for you. You have to just concentrate on your actual code. So this is the Office UI framework I was talking about, which is known as the UI Fabric, Office UI Fabric. So which is the standard or official UX design framework for Office add-ins. It is designed explicitly for Office development by Microsoft. It is based on the best practices which are suggested by Microsoft, and it is responsive mobile first, means you developed it only once and it will be running on any platform. It provides you the seamless UX design and integration. It provides the same look and feel as Office clients. So imagine one thing, that you are developing an add-in for Excel or you are developing an add-in for Word. Then you don't want that add-in to look like different. You don't want to use the fonts, and you don't want to use the colors and the uh, background, everything which feels the different from the office. So the user may feel, what is this? But if it is the seamless, means it has the same look and feel of the office itself. Whatever you see in the ribbon, whatever you see in the office dialogues, you get the same look and feel here. So that user considered that this is a part of the office itself. There is nothing new. So if you want to develop like that, then Office UI Fabric provides you that, and it is suitable for all platforms. It provides you the variety of UI elements like icons, fonts, and buttons, and everything is ready made for you. You have to just use it, and which is available as Fabric.js, Fabric React, and AngularJS. So these are the different versions. The core, which is the JS, and if you're a React developer or if you're an Angular developer, then also you have separate versions for that. And these all things are available on GitHub. Those are open source. So day by day, people are also porting to some other one. So right now, if you see, there are 3 or 4 type of different JS templates available. In the future, it's going to increase. So you have, as a developer, you have more choices. You are not restricted to using only C Sharp and Microsoft platform technologies. You have different opportunities here. So this slide considers about how you can deploy and publish your add-in. So once you have developed your add-in, you had an idea, I want to develop some add-in, you have done the coding, and now you are ready, it has been tested, okay, now you want to publish. So how you can do that one? So first of all is a test run. First you want to test something, then you can do directly from Visual Studio. You create a project in Visual Studio and you just click F5, then it will be running. I'll show you in the demo. You can do the side loading. So side loading is that your web app, your part of the add-in is your web app, which is running already from a web server on one side, and on another side, you are loading that manifest in your Excel, Word, or PowerPoint, which is known as the side loading. Those here marked with the asterisk, which I'm going to show you the demo. Internal to your organization, if you are developing only for your organization, for your intranet, then you can do the centralized deployment. So if you have Office 365 online version, then the admin can log in and they can go to the Office 365 admin center, and from there they can add this add-in, and that can be published or that can be pushed to the Office users. We have also the option of publishing the add-in into SharePoint add-in catalog. So SharePoint has an add-in catalog, which your add-in can be made part of this, and user can be told to load the add-ins from that. Excel Server also has functionality, but which is limited to Outlook add-ins only. So if your add-in is specifically for Outlook, then you can deploy that add-in into Excel Server. From the server, it can be pushed or it can be visible to the Outlook users. And network share. So what you need at the end of the day is only the manifest, and manifest is an XML file. So what you can do is you can keep your web app running on a web server, and your manifest file you can put on any file share or network share, and you can tell your users that you go to this drive and install the manifest from that, and it will be available inside Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. If you are doing the development for public domain, or if you are doing the development for commercial purpose, then you have to deploy and publish it on the app source, which is the Office store, which we already see in the Excel when I show you the demo. So you have to you can publish your add into the Office store, which is available to the all the Office users all over the world. But for that to happen, you have to follow all the policies, and you have to submit your add-in, and it must satisfy all the Microsoft Office validation policies. Then only Microsoft will make it part of the Office store. If you want to publish your add-in to the Office store, then you have to register as an app developer. You go to this site, .com/store/register, and you can do the registration. You have to pay upfront fees for that. If you are an individual developer, then $19, and if you are a company or an organization, then $99. This is one-time registration fee. Once you are registered and once you submit, then Microsoft will evaluate your add-in. It will evaluate for any viruses or malicious code or anything, and then once they are satisfied and your add-in meets the guidelines set out by Microsoft for Office add-ins, then it will be made a part of your Microsoft Office store. So it's time for the demo, Office 365 add-ins demo, into which I will show you from Visual Studio 2015, Visual Studio 2017, and Office Human add-in generator, which I'll show you running from the Visual Studio code. Let's go to the Excel now. Unfortunately, this is not being loaded. I'm closing the Excel. So first, I'll show you the demo in Visual Studio 2015. If you have never developed for Office 365 and you are a new developer, then I suggest you to directly start with Office 2017, not Office 2015. But this has some options, so I am going to show you what was there already. If you click on a new project, we are right now in the Visual Studio 2015. So if you go to the 2015 new project templates, then you will find Office/SharePoint. It has so many templates. Those are distributed as apps. So remember one of my earlier slides into which I told uh, till Visual Studio 2015, the Office add-ins were named as apps for Office, but later Microsoft renamed it for better, and now those are known as Office 365 add-ins. So whatever you see here, apps for Office is an add-in for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and app for SharePoint is an add-in for SharePoint. We have also this menu, Office add-ins. So Office add-ins are the VSTO add-ins. So the difference between these two is that here the development is into the web app. So you have JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Here the development is in the C#. So if you develop this one, then it is the comp-based C#. So let's create this one. I'm clicking on Excel 2013 VSTO add-in and clicking on OK. So if you see here, let me maximize the screen. So if you see here, all the code is into C#, the startup and shutdown events, which are only generated. There is nothing more over here, only one file being generated. So this is the old version or the earlier version, which is known as the VSTO, into which all development was in the languages like C# or VB.NET or VBA. If you want to learn something new, then don't learn this. Start with the 365 add-in development. I'm closing this project. This was just to show you that what are the options earlier available. I'm clicking again on here and I'm going to the apps, and in apps for Office, I'm clicking on OK. So these are the types of add-in I already told you while I was showing the demo of Excel add-in, then task pane add-in, content add-in, and mail add-in. So task pane add-in is what which runs on the side of the application, and it does some functionality on your data or your content. The content add-in adds a new content to your Office document, and the mail add-in is specially for Outlook. So let me quickly show you a demo of a task pane add-in. And for what you want to generate, let's say I'm selecting Excel here and clicking on finish. So if you see here, the HTML page has been loaded, and if you go to this solution, then in one of the earlier screens I told you the add-in project consists of two things. One is the manifest and one is the web app. So here you see the separate project for the manifest. So this is the Office manifest, which has an XML file, which has all the data for description and the provider and version and everything. It has a unique ID. This ID is used to identify the particular add-in. Then we have this separate project for the web application, which is consisting of HTML, JavaScript, and CSS code. So these are the Office CSS. Office CSS, Microsoft has provided you some automatic content over here so that your look and feel is same as the Office apps. And if you see here, this is the HTML code. When you run this add-in, then this is the page that your user is going to see. This is the CSS and this is the JS. So some piece of code is already there to get started, and you can modify it according to your need, and you can start it. If you click on start, then it will load into the Excel already, but I don't want to continue with that because this is the older version. So now let's quickly go to the Visual Studio 2017. So if you want to start some development in the latest version of Visual Studio, then I suggest you installing the Visual Studio 2017 version, and I am using the Community Edition, so which is free for the developer. If you are not doing some commercial development, if you don't want to sell your software, then for learning purpose or for your self development purpose, you can use this Community Edition, which is a great tool. Latest Visual Studio 2017 available to you free of cost as a Community Edition. So here I am going and clicking on the create new project. So here you see again the similar type of options, add-ins, which are known as now the only add-ins instead of the apps for Office. The VSTO I already showed you. The SharePoint is a separate one which we are not going to cover in today's session. So let's create an Excel add-in. I'm clicking on OK. So remember I told you there are two types, the task pane add-in and the content add-in. So instead of using those words, now these words are being used. Add new functionalities to Excel and insert content onto the Excel spreadsheet. I am clicking the first version. I am clicking on finish. So Visual Studio will load the skeleton, will prepare the framework of an Office app already for you. So if you see here, once again, the HTML, which is the front end of the add-in, has been loaded. There are two projects, the manifest and this project. Here the home page. So let us try to quickly run it. I'm just clicking on F5. It was an Excel add-in, so Visual Studio will automatically integrate and load it into the Excel. So it shows you the message that it is already loaded. So I'm clicking on Show Task Pane. Ignore the other ones which are already for my test and demo development. So this add-in is doing some functionality of highlighting something. So highest value from the selection. So I'm just selecting some data and clicking on highlight. So it identifies that the highest value is 515 and it has been highlighted. So this is a very simple or very basic example of an Excel add-in. So it is just from the selection, it is it is highlighting the highest value. Similar to this, if you have some integration ideas, or if your organization has some requirement that they want to fetch data from some particular ERP or from third party API and show it over here, or export data from Excel to some other application, then you can do it. So let me show you what's behind the scenes. So here in the over here in the HTML is the front end. You see you have this header and you have this message and you have the highlight button. So this is the header over here you are seeing. Then this is the message over here. These are the description, and this is the button. This is the footer contours over here, and this is the button which is known as the highlight button. So how the events are linked, and what is the action behind that. So if you go to this, there are three main files: the home.html, which is the front end, the CSS, which is for the UI, and JavaScript, which is for the actions. So here you see the highlight button. So this is the code which runs on the add-in when initialized, and we have this reason which is not used, but the reason is used to identify the difference, that whether the add-in is being added for the first time from the app store, or whether you are just clicking on the add-in and you are starting something. So this defines it. So here if you see the button, so here you have this span button text. So programmatically you are making the text look at highlight, which we see over here in Excel. Then you are adding on this button, you are adding that whenever this button is being clicked, you call this particular function, and this is load sample data. So this particular data just to show the users that what it is in your actual admin. You may not want to do some automatic population, but this is just to show you that. So this is the piece of code which runs when the Excel add-in is added and you are loading some data, and you are just loading some random data in the some of the cells, and then this one display selected cells. So when you click on this button highlight, and this file is this code is being executed, highlight selected values. So if whatever code you see here is the Excel API, the JavaScript of the Excel API, which has been produced by Microsoft, which makes the interaction with the Excel workbooks easy. So you are from the select workbook, you are getting the selected range, and then in the range you are doing some operation over here to find the highest value. This is the most common logic to find the highest value. And once you have highest value found out, then you are making it color, making it bold, and highlighting it with the orange one, and that's your code. So this is how an Excel add-in will look like. This is how an add-in will look like, and it has some of the CSS for making this look and feel. But if you see overall, the look and feel is same. Overall, the end user does not feel that they are using something extra or something third party. They all think that this is the same look and feel of Office, and they are running something provided by Microsoft. So I'm closing this one. So this session is just about the overview. We are not going to write, or we are not going to change any code over here. I just wanted to show you how the add-in works. So we are here. I have shown you 2015 version, 2017 version. Let's see a human office generator. So what is a human office generator is that you first need to install the node, and then uh, you need to go and you need to also install the human office generator. Then before this point I have already installed the human office generator. Then you can go in the command prompt. So here you have to go to a folder where you want to generate your add-in. So I am on the command prompt. I'm going to I have created a folder Nilesh demo. I'm going to that folder. This folder is over here currently, which is empty. The folder name is Nilesh demo. Human office generator has only simple command yo office. So before this step, I have gone to the Human Office Generator GitHub project and I have downloaded the template for Human Office, which is not part of this demo. But once I have provided the link how you can do that. But once you have installed that project generator, then you just go to the command prompt and execute this command yo office. So it will take you through a series of questions. It will ask you some series of questions and then it will generate. So would you like to create a new subfolder? I'm saying no. What is the name? Let's say whatever demo, today is 24 March, demo 24 March. Which add-in you want to make, in which office application, Excel, Word, PowerPoint. I'm selecting Excel over here. And this is the option that you want to generate a whole project or you want to generate only the manifest. So here, if you already have some office documents, you manually created your Word, HTML, JavaScript, and CSS files, and you only want to generate the manifest, then you have to choose this action, only generate the manifest. But we want to create everything from scratch, including the web app as well as the manifest. Then I am selecting this option. I need to create a new web app and manifest. I'm selecting enter. Would you like to use TypeScript? I'm selecting no here. And which framework you want to use, Angular or jQuery. The version of Human I have installed has only this Angular and jQuery. There are so many others available, but you need to go to GitHub and install those. I'm selecting jQuery. And this is about showing some resource file you want to see immediately after, but I'm selecting no. So now it is running the npm install command and creating the add-in in the background. If you see on the screen, it is showing us that it has created some file, the app.js file and resource.html file and index.html file. So there are some warnings, but we'll ignore those. And if you go to that folder already, you see over here, this is the complete framework or complete skeleton of an add-in being generated. So it has the JavaScript files, it has the CSS files, it has the HTML files. So now the Office Generator project has done the work for you and it has created the very basic framework. Now we want to run. Imagine you don't have a Visual Studio 2015 or 2017, or you don't want to use the commercial version and you are a developer and you want to use Visual Studio Code. You can use any other editor onto which you can run the npm. But for this demo, I am showing you Visual Studio Code. So I'm just clicking on this folder over here and clicking open with code. I have already installed Visual Studio Code and I'm clicking on open with code button. So here you see I'm closing the welcome screen. Here you see that the file has been all the files has been loaded, the HTML file and the JavaScript file and the CSS file has been loaded over here. To run this project, we have to go to the command prompt So I'm clicking on the view menu and clicking on integrated terminal so that we can run the command. I'm just clicking on. So I am clicking on npm start. So this is the web app currently which is running on the local host port 3000. So this is the welcome logo and this is something run. There is no functionality. This is only the web app. If you go over here, sorry, this one, the Visual Studio Code, and then it has the index file over here has all the code which you are currently seeing over there. Modify the resource file, then click run and the run button. The run button is over here, all other text is over here, but this one doesn't have any sample data which was in the Visual Studio 2017, but you have a very basic piece of your HTML file, your JavaScript, and your all dependent file. So this is the running version. So what I am showing you right now is the demo of the side loading. Remember in the earlier slide, I told you that the test run can be done from Visual Studio. I clicked on F5 and I showed you this is the example of side loading. So side loading is on one side your application is running, on one side you are doing or you are installing something. So let me show you running it from the Office Online. So I am currently logged into the Office portal as my test account. If you don't have an Office Online test account, then I suggest you register for the Office 365 Developer Program. In the next slides, I am going to cover that. But let's say I'm right now clicking on the Excel. I'm creating a new file over here. So there was some error, unexpected error, but right now we are over here. So the new Excel has been created and we are running it from the web browser itself. I'm clicking on insert. I'm clicking on Office add-in. So here it is the store and everything, which is the same version. We are not concerned with that. We are going to this menu, my add-ins, and I am clicking on this button. If you see over here, upload my add-in on the top right, I am clicking on that. So it is telling us to choose the manifest file. It only requires one thing. Where is your XML? Where is your manifest? So our manifest is over here. The last file. So I'm choosing the file folder path and I'm clicking on browse. And here is the manifest file. I'm clicking on open and I'm clicking on upload. So if you see over here, do you see on the right hand side on the task pane, our add-in has been loaded. So this is the add-in over here running on the localhost 3000 port. The same add-in has been added over here in the Excel Online version. So now you can do, if we don't have currently any functionality, if you click on run, nothing will happen because there is no functionality in the backend. But if you have developed some code and your code is up and running on your web server, then it can directly run from your Excel apps. So this is the demo of side loading. And let us see also what is inside the manifest. So the manifest tells that from where you have to load the file. So here it says the source location. So whenever you are adding this add-in, which is from this resource file, then where you have to load the UI. So it says that the UI is from the localhost 3000 and index.html file. the localhost 3000 and index.html file which we are seeing over here. So this is the power of manifest, that you include only one XML and it points you to some web server, and on web server you are adding as a web application is running, and you can show it anywhere in your online version or desktop version or your mobile version. So we are back over here and I have shown you the add-in project generator. We are already near to 1 hour, and we have already covered only the Office add-ins, but this webinar is also consisting of Office Microsoft Graph API. But if you are not having any time constraint, then I will continue. So we are extending our time. So I'm moving to the next slide, and these are some links. This handout, the slides handout, when this webinar is over, I am going to upload this slide handout, and you will be able to see over here in the contents. You will have these links. So dev.office.com is the main page for Office 365 development. Go to GitHub, all the repositories are online, and you can see the code. You can also comment, you can fork it. Office add-in generator, the human Office add-in generator is over here. There are some training courses available to you. If you want to kickstart your development, then this is the link you have to go. Office 365 developer program, I am going to cover it. I suggest you to go and register for this, because you get 1 year free trial of Office 365, and you just need your email address, and then you will have it. And there are some of my blogs on my website, nilesh.live/blogs/Office 365. There are some of the blogs I have written on development of Office 365. So we are now in the part 2 of the webinar. The part 1 was about Office add-ins. Now this part 2 is about the Graph API. I will quickly give you the introduction of Graph API. But before that, there are something like Office 365 APIs. So which were already there before Graph API came into picture a few years ago. So Microsoft had all the data in your Office applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneDrive, and OneNote, and any other Yammer and all other applications. So if you want to integrate your data of Office 365 into your application, it may be your web app, it may be your mobile app or anything, then Microsoft had already that option of Office 365 APIs, but those were the individual APIs. So for OneDrive, there was separate API. For Outlook, for OneNote, for everything, Microsoft had independent teams developing independent APIs. So that was the scenario until a few years ago. And right now also these APIs are existing, and you can use those APIs. But whenever you go and you can go and search on Google, and you can open any API, then on every page Microsoft is suggesting you that API functionality through Office 365 APIs is available. However, suggested is that you use the Microsoft Graph. So what is Microsoft Graph is everything covered in the next few slides. So what was the problem earlier? What was the problem, or for the root cause which prompted Microsoft to launch the Microsoft Graph APIs? So this is the scenario. If you wanted to use Office 365 APIs, then first of all, you have to go and find the URL that I want to work with OneNote. What is the endpoint of the API? I want to work with the OneDrive. Then what is the endpoint of the API? Then you have to get the authentication, get the access token. Then you fetch the data, or you do the insert update calls or whatever. And once you have done this for each API, one API, you have to repeat this for each API. Imagine you are developing a web app into which you want to interact with OneDrive, as well as you want to interact with OneNote or something from the Outlook. Then you have to at least 2 or 3 APIs targeting different applications or different services. So that results in the multiple token management, and ultimately what you are targeting is one thing. You are targeting Office 365, but the APIs were separate. So Microsoft realized that instead of all these segregated APIs. They need a unified API system. And that's why, as a solution, Microsoft developed this one endpoint for all, which is the Microsoft Graph API. Now you don't have to care about individual APIs. You have to go to just graph.microsoft.com, and here all the APIs are available as a unified API. So you can use your OneDrive documents, you can use your Outlook email collaboration, you can use your Teams and everything. So if you have heard something about Microsoft Teams, so Teams is a new product for office collaboration, and let me say you for your knowledge that the Teams is based on the Graph API. So the UI is Teams, but in the background, whatever calls are being made, all calls are being made to the Microsoft Graph API. So this is the power of Microsoft Graph API, that what you can do. So what is a Microsoft Graph API? It's a REST API to interact with data from Office 365. Most of the resources are available right now, and there is new development also going on in Microsoft Graph API. So you will have new and new features being added day by day, new and new functionality being added. But as of now, most of the functionalities of Office 365 is available in the Graph API. It's a single endpoint, so you can access everything, your chats, your calendar, your files, your email messages, and everything you can access using Graph API. Developer advantage, it's a single well-known resource. You don't have to worry about where I go and which API I want to use. It's only one Graph API. Ease of development, you don't have to call now the different endpoints, you don't have to do the multiple token management, separate token management. It provides you the logical navigation. So what I mean by logical navigation is, this is why the name of the product is Microsoft Graph, because it looks something like a graph. If you access the user, then corresponding to the user, relevant to the user, everything else you can access. You can access the user's messages, the notes, the tasks, the events, and the calendar and everything. The manager of the user, the different team members, the groups the user belongs to, everything you can access. This is provided as a logical navigation, and that's why this looks something like a graph structure. That's why the name of the product is Graph API. Platform flexibility. So it doesn't restrict you on to using C# and VB.NET or some particular Microsoft technologies only. If you are a developer of Android, or if you are a developer of Xamarin, or if you are a developer of Angular, Python, PHP, name it, Microsoft Graph API has the templates, or Microsoft Graph API has the SDK through which you can work with it. This screenshot doesn't include Java, but as of recently, as of up to last week or so, Microsoft has also launched the Java integration for Microsoft Graph API. So if you're a Java developer, then also you can use the Microsoft Graph API for your programming. This is based on the open standards like REST, JSON, OAuth, and OData. So it can be very well integrated to any of the current or future technologies. This is something about the Microsoft Graph development stack. On the very base, you are accessing the data which is lying into the which is lying into the Microsoft Office 365 domain. For accessing the data, you will need the authentication, which is provided to you using the OpenID Connect and OAuth 2.0. If you are have ever developed on some APIs, then you may be aware of this. And then the development environment itself, Microsoft has provided you the SDKs for all the different environments. If you are an iOS developer, if you are an Android developer, if you are a C# developer, or if you want to do the REST development on your own, writing the plain REST calls, then also you can do that. And your solution can be hosted somewhere on Azure. Your solution can also be hosted on Linux. You can have the technology of your choice, .NET, JavaScript, HTML, Python, whatever you want, and you can target tablets, you can target mobile devices, you can target desktop applications. So this is the API URL pattern. Microsoft Graph API is at the end, it's an API. So every API has an endpoint or the URL. So this is the URL pattern. the graph.microsoft.com/version/resource and optional query parameters. So graph.microsoft.com is the basic endpoint, and there are two versions, version 1.0 or beta. So version 1.0 is the generally available functionalities, and beta is the functionality which are still in the development. And whatever you see in the beta in the coming next months, it will be available as generally available and 1.0. Resource indicates what you want to access, whether you want to access the user itself, whether you want to access the email messages, the events, or what. And alias, there are two aliases. Me corresponds to the logged in user. So if you write down graph.microsoft.com/version 1.0/me, then all the data or all the info you see will be corresponding to the user who has logged in. And the optional query parameters, these are the OData version 4.0, which is supported by Graph API. So OData version 4.0 query parameters, which are for accessing or modifying your data. So these are the some of those: top, skip, count, select. The collection will be returned which will have all the properties, but you want to restrict, and if you want to select only few properties, then you want to use this one, select parameter. Order by, these are self-explanatory. Search, if you want to match a particular criteria, then you can use the search one. Expand, so you are selecting one resource, but you also want to select the child resources, then you can use this expand functional expand query parameter. I'm going to show you this in the demo on the Graph Explorer. So we are on the demo page now, Microsoft Graph API Explorer. So to get started, Microsoft has provided you the Graph Explorer. So if you are new to Microsoft Graph API, and if you want to get the first-hand experience that how does Microsoft Graph API work, then this is the Graph Explorer page you have to go. Microsoft developer.microsoft.com/graph/graph explorer. So this is a sandbox type of thing into which either you can sign in using a Microsoft account and you can taste how your data looks like, but I suggest you not to use your organizational account. If you are working and your organization is already using Office 365, then you will have an email ID of your Office 365. But I strongly suggest not to use that. I suggest you instead register for Office 365 developer program and get a demo account and then play with this demo account, because here using this portal you can fire all the post calls and the put calls. So you may be accidentally damaging your Office organization data, which I don't suggest. And to work with or to run some sample calls, Microsoft has provided a sample account. So whatever you fire right now, you will see the data is coming from a sample account. So this is the alias I told you, that me and organization are the two aliases. So this indicates that which version, which type of verb you are using. It's only get until you log in your using your account, you will not get the post and put. It is only the get calls. It indicates which version of the API you want to use, 1.0 or beta. This is the URL endpoint, and clicking on the run query button will fire this call against a demo account which Microsoft has provided, and which will load the data, that what is the display name, what is the job title, what is the email address, if it is there is any phone number or something, or surname, every data related to the current logged in user. Currently we are not logged in, but it is the demo account which is being displayed over here. There are so many sample queries over here. So if you click on the sample queries, if you want to get the profile, which we already did, if you want to get the email messages, then these are the email messages, which loads all the data. If you want to get the users manager, then it's over here, me/manager. So this is the logical navigation, that once you have reached the user me, then you can use its corresponding information like manager and groups and everything. Photo, So this is the binary value representation, but in the actual data you will get the binaries. The users reporting to the current logged in user, and you want to filter that which user having this email ID, then you will get that. So these are all the samples that Microsoft Graph Explorer is providing you. I'm selecting, let's say, groups, and I'm closing it. So this says groups. These are all the groups being created into your organization. All groups into which the user is part of. So it is simply me slash member of. So whatever groups are there, it will be shown over here. So let's say, let me quickly give you demo of the optional query parameter too. So here we want to just select the display name. So I'm writing question mark. So if you see here that I have written up to manager, it was giving us all the data which was part of this JSON, the manager JSON. So it is all bunch of data. But in our programming, I am concerned only with showing the name of the user. Then I can filter the data that I want to select only this field, display name. So then this display name field will be shown to you. So this is very basic. Graph Explorer. So you have the first hand idea of what Graph API is, and then you can integrate this into part of your project. And Microsoft has the Graph SDK, so you can integrate that Graph SDK as a package, and then you can start working on it. I am not going into detail because we are already ahead of time, and it will take me much more time if I want to show you demo of each and everything. Let me quickly show you the demo of app registration portal. So when you want to develop an app which uses Graph API, then you have to get some registration key and everything, so that you can do on the Microsoft app registration portal. So if you go over here, so if you go over here, then this is the quick start. First you need to register, and then you need to log in using your Microsoft account. This is the Microsoft app registration portal, into which it will show you all the apps you may have already registered. So these are some of the demo apps I have created, and this ID and this app secrets, everything you need to use in your web config file. I'm clicking on add app. So it will guide you through a step-by-step process, that what you can do, what is the name of your application, and which type of technology you want to use, and it will step-by-step guide you, and then it will generate the application key and application secret for you, which you can use in your application, and then you can work with the Graph API. These are some of the links for working with Microsoft Graph API. developer.microsoft.com/enus/graph is everything you need to know about Graph. Graph Explorer is also on your GitHub. You can go and see and explore the code. Even the Graph Explorer itself, this Graph Explorer demo I showed you over here itself, which is also available on the GitHub site, and you can see it is made using TypeScript. And I have also written some blogs on Graph API, which are available at nilias.live/blog/msgraph. You can go and have some and look at it. Also, all my blogs are available on C# Corner website. Office 365 developer program. So this is something I strongly suggest you to go and register for. So you can have, first of all, the biggest advantage is that it gives you 1 year free Office Enterprise E3 developer account. So you can do all this stuff in development, adding and Graph API development. You have access to online trainings, and there are so many courses, and there are so many hackathons you can participate. So I strongly suggest you register for this program. This is the last slide. Thank you very much, whoever participated in this webinar. Thank you very much for spending your time and attending this webinar. The recording will be available later on, as well as the slides will be available. Thank you very much for participating now. I'm stopping now. Thank you.